Hey gang, it's Deltia from deltiasgaming.com, and we're going over Stage 2 in Veteran Dragonstar Arena, the Frozen Ring. This one's a lot of fun. You have one extra mechanic in Veteran mode where you have to light torches near a campfire to avoid frozen damage. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. A lot of mobs, it's dense. It's great to have a Dragonknight with you with some chains, but it's a pretty fun arena, and I like this one a lot, especially being a Nord with cold resistance. So let's get to it. Alright, Veteran Dragonstar Arena Stage 2, here we go. As you notice here, we go to the left-hand side where there's a big campfire and there's a torch to the right. The extra mechanic here in Veteran mode is really that you have to keep these torches lit throughout the various rounds. As I swap an ability, kind of help people go faster. So that only happens in the later rounds, at the end of round 2 essentially, moving on. And you get about 60 seconds to start that. So as the mobs come in, I'm going to talk about them a little bit each, and they may or may not be in the video as I talk about it. But Ice Wraith first. It's a small threat, really. It's just going to do a charge through the packs there, like in a big rectangle, but it doesn't have that much HP, and it doesn't do too much damage for you. So it's not really something you need to worry about right away, though if they do, stack up on you, you could get nuked from them, but not that big of a priority. You have a Sovngarde Brawler, which is a basic tank, around 10,000 HP, not too big of a deal. The best thing to do is have the tank pick up the melee, while the range DPS focus on range targets like that mage that I'm beating on right there. Those are the ones that are going to produce the highest damage. So the tank picks up the bears, the brawlers, that sort of thing. Make sure to interrupt them when appropriate and points them away from the group to avoid AoE cleave damage. So we talked about the bear. The two range is a Sovngarde Ranger, which is about 10,000 HP. You'll notice him with a bow. So you really want to pull them in or stun them with like a crushing shock or a venom arrow, something like that. That's really going to have a big impact on your survivability because these things do have massive damage. The mage is single target really, while the archer is a lot of AoE. So the Sovngarde Ice Mage, the Ranger, are really what you want to focus on. You got a couple other mobs here like Melee, Sovngarde Berserker, a Thunder Maul, and a Slayer. They're all pretty much the same, with some of them sword and board, some have melee. And they have the same mechanics usually as Stage 1, which is a big AoE cleave and a big circular thing that can be interrupted. So same sort of thing, you just need to pull them in, tank picks them up while the range DPS worries about the range DPS. Later on in the round, you have Troll and the bosses, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. That's really the enemies that you're going to be facing here as we finish up round 1. Round 1 specifically has about 3 waves of mobs, kind of gets you introduced to what you'll be facing in the rest of the round. Nothing too difficult. At the start of wave 2, you'll notice the fire is still going to be up, or it goes down right there. So, at this point, you go get the fire, usually have a DPS to do it, bring it back, light it on. No big deal. Now, it's important to set a timer, usually about 60 seconds. When you want the DPS to go get the torch is around 50, because it takes about 5 seconds to go get it, 5 seconds to come back, it's out, then you light it again. So usually it's best to have a healer or tank set a timer that can remember when this is going to go out or when it's supposed to. It's really going to help. Now don't go there way early or don't go there way late. If you do it late, you're going to basically all die because the cold damage just can't be healed through essentially the longer it goes. If you go early, you're going to be stuck with something in your hand, so don't do that. But that's really the ice mechanic. Except in the later round, the very last round, it's going to last essentially 45 seconds in between getting it. So you're going to have to be really hot on it getting that. Also a thing with the fire, as you see right there, it goes smaller. So that's kind of your visual indicator that it's going to run out. Usually that's around 45 seconds. So that's, if you don't have a timer, you're not doing that sort of thing, that's really something that can help you. Now, the timer specifically is something very important later on in some of these rounds, and I get used to using it. There's a great add-on that a guy from the community, I can't even pronounce his name, made. It's called MV Timer, and it's on Minion or ESO UI. I highly recommend this for this fight and other fights because you're going to need to time certain mechanics later on. And this is one you start using the timer, and you won't stop pretty much the rest of this game. So I get the trolls, get some melee, try to face them away. I think we're in round 3 here. Nothing too spectacular. I see that range caster's coming. I should get it. I'm not playing tank very good this video, so basically I'm trying to do too much, which is my problem usually, was just trying to be a DPS tank. And what you really need to do as a tank is just get the melee and point them away from the group. You don't want them charging through the group like that and doing needless damage. You really want to point them away so they're charging towards you, not the group. That's your main primary job, because if you do that, the DPS can do their job, which is do massive damage. The healer can do his job, which is heal people and give them resources. So I get carried away usually sometimes and try to do too much. So don't get like me. Be a tank, be a healer, be a DPS, and it will help you out significantly. And then I change 15 different skills in between matches just because I want some more stuns or whatnot. Okay, here comes the DPS phase, or the boss phase. You got two bosses. One is a melee, one is a caster. The best practice here is to DPS the melee only, not really doing AoE to any of the other boss, which is Yavin. And I'm kind of being a bad here trying to DPS the mage, which I should just tank the melee away from him to give the DPS clear line of sight, which I'm really not doing a good job of. I don't know what was my deal today, but it wasn't good. What you need to do here is get the boss down. At around 50%, the mage starts summoning adds like you can see here. If your DPS is good enough, you can just DPS her through it like we did. Kill her right away, boom, no problem. See, a DPS got off on their own there and was getting stunned, and the ice killed them. So you can't go off on your own. You really got to stick together. The mage is still up apparently, and we're just taking a lot of fire, a lot of damage via this frozen stuff. As you can see, that's what happens until you get it lit. So it's hard. Don't get frustrated if you lose or die a couple times, because it's going to be really, really hard. You know, now we have these timers down and everything. This is one of the earlier runs, so it's gotten a lot easier. Okay, once the mage goes down, you don't want to trigger the boss's HP mechanic where they summon more mobs. Hypothetically, you want the tank to take the main boss kind of away from the group while everyone else DPSs the adds. Once the adds are cleared out, you don't have to worry about them coming back, except for when you push the boss's HP. I don't know if it's confirmed, it's around 50 or 40%. I don't want to give you the wrong information. Well, it just happened there, so I think 50% is when the more adds come. So same thing here. You move to the other place, which is the center, and the reason why is because you only get so many torches. You can only light so many torches before they go out. So what we do is we stay the left of the entrance the whole time, light it once on the boss round, and then move to the center area. That gives us enough time to have basically all the torches up, and you only have one move phase. If you have really good DPS, you can do it essentially just right away. But I've only done that a couple times with a really powerful team. And that's basically the fight there. Once those adds are down, you get back on the boss, kill them. Not too difficult. So the moral of the story, do your job. It's not too hard, and it's one of the easier rounds in the game. Just remember that torch phase, you got to start a timer. It's really going to help you. Well, thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned something from the Stage 2 Veteran Dragonstar Arena, the Frozen Ring. It is somewhat difficult to light the torches in the middle of all the chaos. Like I said, your best friend is keeping a timer on there, and that way you make sure you know when and where to go. If you do that, not too difficult, just bring a lot of AoE damage and healing and you'll get through it. Feel free to share this video, subscribe if you like this content, and tell your friends about me. Come over to the site deltiasgaming.com or listen to me on talesoftamriel.com. Thanks for watching.